Happy Wisdom Walk Day. Today I'm going to be talking about the power of free will. What does that mean to you? How can we leverage free will? Can't wait. Oh, hello, beauties, beautiful souls. Oh, I'm so excited about our topic today because I've really been moving through a lot of old energy, a lot of old stuff. And I've mentioned that before in some of the videos. And I'm sure you've been experiencing much of the same. It is the time that we're living in right now. And the energy of free will came up. You know, it's one of the gifts of human beings is to have the power of free will. However, some argue that we have less free will than we think. And I believe that actually stems from our inability to recognize that we really do have the power to choose. So if somebody is unaware that they have the ability to reframe their thinking and their thoughts, then we miss out on this beautiful opportunity of free will. If we allow this world to dictate our circumstances and how we respond to those circumstances is not done in a way of free will, then we surrender our free will. And so the question is, are you surrendering your free will in your daily experience, in your day-to-day activities? And this is such a beautiful piece because I think it really speaks to our ability to have freedom, and freedom being in the mind. I believe freedom is in the mind. And I might argue that if I was ever put in a jail or captured in some way and held hostage, I might argue that. But most certainly, how we choose to respond to that is really up to us. And I have been watching a series on Netflix called Captive. And what's interesting is some of the perspectives of some of the people that have been captured. And it really takes a huge capacity of the mind to choose different thoughts and to keep ourselves in a state that allows us to respond in a way that's going to give us the most grace, the most comfort, the most peace in that given moment. And so I love this idea of really harnessing the power of our free will, because I think that so often, and we've been conditioned to believe this, that, well, this person made me feel this way. Right? You know, we say, oh, you hurt me, or you did this. You know, we get caught up in that blame, not recognizing that we have this incredible gift of free will to choose, one, whether or not we want to stay in that hurt for an extended period of time. That is a choice. And I'm not saying that when we have these immediate reactions or feelings that those are not valid and those are not to be honored. I really truly believe that we should value and honor whatever it is that is coming to us, but it provides us with this opportunity to look a little bit closer, to dig in a little bit deeper and say, okay, how am I choosing to show up in this particular experience? What am I choosing here? Am I going to choose to stay hurt? Am I going to choose to be angry at this person? Or can I reframe my thinking? Can I learn something about this experience? Or can I learn about their perspective in this experience so that I can choose different feelings, different thoughts, and of course, leverage the power of my free will in how I want to show up in this experience? And so I've now decided to come into a practice of free will. So how can I practice my free will? You know, even something as simple this morning, you know, part of me was like, oh, Deanne, you need to jump out of bed and get your day started. And then another part said, oh, but you could rest a little bit longer. And so, I made a choice. I made a choice to rest. Now, I want to add to this too, because I think that sometimes we think there's a lot out of our control, and there is a lot out of our control. We can't control what other people do. We can't control what other people say. We can't even control what other people think about us. And the more we try and control those things, the more restricted we actually are. And so we aren't practicing our power of free will when we do that. When we restrict ourselves in that way, thinking, oh, I've got no control. And we could even use an example of something happening overseas. And so maybe we use an example of war overseas and we think, well, I have no control over that. But we do have control over how we choose to feed into that. We do have control in how we choose to send love or donate money or live our lives outside of that. And so absolutely there are things. There's always things that are uncertain and ever-changing and out of our hands. But how we respond is our power of free will. And that is our freedom. And when we allow ourselves to get bound or wrapped into that drama that isn't even yours, then we lose that leverage. We lose the power in that. And so this is just an opportunity for reflection for all of us to think about how we might be missing out on some opportunities to express our free will and in choosing how we respond to the world around us. So that's the invitation today, is to look at your expression of free will and how that's showing up for you. I do want to give you a little bit of a tool as well to help you, because I know there are some people really struggling with decisions and they're getting caught in the overthinking. You know how we do that. That monkey mind or that ego mind will get us caught up in that space. And it's a beautiful tool that I got from a book by Linda Howe, Linda Howe. She specializes in the Akashic Records, which is my place of expertise. And I learned a great deal from Linda Howe and her programs. And I believe it's the Soul's Purpose book that this one is in. And it is the balancing of the triangle. And that triangle consists of the mind, the heart, and the will. And oftentimes when we're making decisions, you know, we tend to make more head-based decisions. Well, this is logical and it makes sense. You know, I'm going to stay working my job because my job pays the bills and I need to do that in order to function and all of that. And so typically we make head choices, although many of us lean into heart choices too. But it is about balancing all the aspects. And so the questions to ask yourself, there's 3 basic questions when you're making a decision. Okay, is this logically sound? And sometimes it's not, but we can at least ask ourselves that question. And then we ask the heart question, does this emotionally satisfy me? Does this fill my heart in some way? Does it help me to feel good? And then the third question is, does it inspire action? And so the inspiring action piece is an important one, because if you do not feel compelled to do a thing, guess what? Nothing changes. So it has to inspire action. And that is the ability of our will, is to choose consciously how we're responding and take appropriate action based on that, right? So these 3 questions can help us to just come into a space that allows us to really reflect and make sure that the decisions that we're making are in full alignment for us, and that we're going to follow through with those decisions as well. If you want to take it a step further as well, there's the option to also get percentages. And so this is an intuitive process. So for all of you who are tapping into your intuition or wanting to work on that, it's a good practice. And so you sit with, okay, so maybe this decision is about quitting your job. And so you say, okay, is it logical? Not really logical, because I got to pay bills. But then we can go further and we can say, okay, mind, what percentage of you wants to leave this job or stay in this job, either way? whatever you decide to ask is up to you. But you'll get a percentage. You get an immediate percentage. Don't overthink it. Just let it come to you intuitively. And then you'll have a gauge. And so if it says, well, 50% wants to stay in logically, because it logically knows that you can find another job or you can create other income, right? And so that's good. Now we got a little bit of a snapshot of what that looks like, and we can move on to the heart and say, okay, what percentage of you, heart, wants to leave this job? You know, sometimes we might get a resounding 100%, or maybe it's 80. That's pretty high still, you know, want to quit the job. And then we get the will, you know, and maybe the will is, you know, 70%. Okay, so now we've got a bit of a snapshot to say, oh, okay, well, it looks like the heart and the will are way stronger in this decision. And then you can lean towards that. Or you can go even one step further and you can say, okay, my mind is only at 50% mind. What do you need in order for this to come closer to 100? And then you might get some insight on that. So you can see, you can layer this process and go a little bit deeper to help you in your decision-making process, and to also lean into your intuition a little bit and let that ego monkey mind get a little bit out of the way so that you can ensure that you are in full alignment and that your ego isn't hijacking things and stopping you from stepping forward on your path. So that's just an opportunity for you to play, to explore, to have some fun with. Hopefully that makes sense to all of y'all. And that is, in essence, this talk that I wanted to share with you, this power of free will. Use it, leverage it. It is there for a reason. You simply need to be aware of its existence in order to use it. So I'm here to remind you, free will is right at your fingertips. It's always there and it doesn't go away.